Hi, my name is Laura Collins Listermensch, and I want to tell you about Magic Plate. So, back when our family was facing the daunting idea of feeding our little person with an eating disorder, we kind of had to turn everything upside down and change the way we looked at things. At one point we thought that food was healthy or unhealthy. We weren't really rigid about this as a family, and we didn't demonize ingredients and food, but we thought children would naturally eat what they needed, and that listening to their body, their hunger and fullness, was learned early in life and just worked because it always had. And we had been the kind of families excuse me, we had been the kind of parents who kind of short order cooked whatever a child wanted within a range of choices that we offered. And we believed that choice and preference mattered, and that as long as we did our job correctly to provide things, that it would all work out very well. That was before we met the eating disorder and that extreme resistance to anything rational approach anything rational just went out the window. Our child could not nourish herself, and at first we explained and we talked and we listened, we shopped together, we talked about nutrients, we discussed calories and fats and carbohydrates because we wanted to appeal to her intellect, which had always worked. And we were intellectualized about food. We moralized food, but then, yes, we met the eating disorder. And we had to temporarily retract pretty much everything we had done before, and some things we never went back to. We took our inspiration as parents, my husband and I, from the phrase food is medicine. That helped us so much. Food was medicine, and medicine is not optional. The dosage is not up to to the patient. Taste is not important. Medicine is not always fun, and although it's life saving, sometimes medicine hurts. So Magic Plate is what we called what we came to do. And it was our job to ensure that our child's brain was fully nourished. Not a little bit nourished, not almost nourished, but fully nourished. That's very important. We were the pharmacist all of the sudden, and our child's brain did not like this. But by being authoritative and calm, just as a hospital staff might be, we took on this job 3 times a day, plus snacks. For us, it took the form of us bringing the plates to the table fully ready. The plate had all the food. We did not discuss the contents on the plate. We did not leave the food on the table and come back later. We made it arrive at the table, all of our plates with the food on them, without discussion, without explanation. And we did not entertain any questions about it. We didn't, engage with that. We called the family to sit down. Our children were not involved with shopping or cooking or discussing. It just arrived as if by magic. But the real magic was how that attitude helped us. Any discussion was not engaged. As I said, if there was anxiety, we acknowledged the anxiety without explaining. We did not explain why we were doing the thing. We did not explain what the food was. We did not engage questions about it. But we did express sympathy for the anxiety. Just sympathy. We understand this medicine is hard. We responded with what we were going to do after the meal. That was a very important part of Magic Plate. The Magic Plates have arrived magically. We don't talk about it. And if there was anxiety, we would talk about what was going to happen after the meal. We assumed the meal would be consumed. That was a given, just like medicine. If eating slowed down, we stopped talking about anything until the food resumed. On the rare occasion of balking or argument, we listened briefly, and then we continued to talk about after the meal with the expectation that it would be eaten. Long before any meal, when we first established this new protocol, we made it clear what would happen if the meal was not finished in a timely way. And those consequences were not negotiated. They were facts. They were immediate and irrevocable. They weren't, this will happen in 2 weeks or this will happen next week or tonight. It was now. And those consequences were irrevocable once they had been invoked. So if you did not finish the meal by this time, we didn't start negotiating when suddenly there was some sort of cooperation. We needed it to be a hard line. And the consequences in this case were ones that meant a lot to her. No school, canceled activities, bed rest, call to doctor, visit to emergency room, and most important, all of those calories that were lost would be refound. So it wasn't that delay or resistance or these other consequences would mean that that meal could be less or that meal could be uh, not just delayed, but it wouldn't be there anymore. We needed to make it clear that there was no way out of the medicine. It was hard to remain pleasant and calm and firm, but we did. We learned to be able to do that. That was important medicine. And we avoided being emotive, like using our emotion to, you need to do this. You're making me feel bad. Look how unhappy your brother is. Nothing emotive, nothing threatening. We were sympathetic without pity, and we just said medicine. And we understood that it was painful medicine, and that it was disgusting medicine, and that it was unwanted, and that maybe we were the worst parents in the world. It's fine. It was medicine. It was temporary. It was doable. It was our job. And the fact is, it was. Being calm, even if we had to fake it a little in the face of distress and disgust and argument, were hard to learn to do. We were not that kind of parent. But again, it was medicine, and that changed the way we did it. And the magic was that our attitude led led what happened for her and her brother. It was nonverbal, a lot of it, in the face of extreme emotion, and we were used to being verbal. Our confidence in the necessity of doing this and the acceptance of her anguish was key. We had the magic belief that it was going to be okay. And our commitment to not arguing and not explaining had to be firm and very clear between the two of us. It was incredibly hard. And honestly, a bit magical. It worked because we believed in ourselves and we believed in the necessity of what we were doing. There's just nothing else to say on that. By the time a year went by in our case where we were being firm and businesslike about food for about a year, and that was temporary. But for us, it really did change our attitude about a lot of things. We no longer and never since have had a moral attitude about amounts of food. We consider food to be a necessity, and any concern about food to be something that we would lean in and help with, and with sympathy rather than anger or fear or anything like that. We are so much less rigid about food as a family, and we are a delight to other people because we never engage in their diet talk. So Magic Plate changed our food culture permanently, but the necessity of doing it in that magic way was was a limited time, and we found from that experience that our children trusted us a great deal more in a lot of things, and not just in this topic, but that's what we were going to do. So we are not grateful for the lesson of Magic Plate, but we are glad to have been strong enough to do what we did. We are glad that we challenged our own ideas about food. We enjoy food. We try to be unstressed about it, and if it ever drifts off, we take note and we readjust. And that is Magic Plate.